So we're going to present our project, which is titled AAPI Radical Hope Mental Health Workshops. This is a collaboration with Asia Pacific Cultural Center. I think we're also expecting a few other members from APCC joining, but maybe they'll come in during our presentation. This is one of the faculty fellow projects funded by the Office of Community Partnership in the last year. I'll have everybody introduced. I'll introduce myself. My name is Jenny Xiao. I'm an assistant professor of psychology in the School of Interdisciplinary Arts and Sciences. Maybe Jonah, you want to introduce yourself? And then I have a slide for APCC.
Hi everyone, I'm Jonah Lee, assistant professor of psychology as well. Jenny's colleague in a background in counseling psychology.
I actually have a slide here, but I'm going to have Glenda talk a little bit about APCC. And again, here you are introduced.
Hi everybody, my name is Glenda Dodolao. I'm a grants manager at the Asia Pacific Culture Center. As you can see in the slide, our mission is to bridge communities and generations through art, culture, education, and business. APCC has been around since 1996, so we've been in the community for a while. We're temporarily located now in East Tacoma right now in our a temporary location, but our permanent location is in South Tacoma Way. Our organization welcomes everybody in terms of our services, but our strength is really in serving our Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander community, because it was those communities that came together to say, hey, we need like a center for our people. So it was founded in 1996, like I mentioned. Right now, we have several programs. One among them is our mental health program that this kind of project partnered with. We have a youth program that does mentorship as well to a lot of our schools within several districts here in Tacoma, Franklin Pierce, and all throughout Pierce County. We have our culture and arts program that does a lot of major events here that kind of promotes the AAPI cultures and traditions. And what am I missing? We have our business and community outreach and also our newly established environmental justice program. So we're very busy, but we have very committed people who's kind of like that bridge to community for resources, information, or even grant opportunities like these. So.
I know you've had several different roles within the organization.
Yes.
Even throughout the time of our collaboration, it's been a really great experience collaborating. And we had known the organization and Glenda prior to this project already, because I think I have it here, that they have been a long time partner and friend to the UWT community as well. You've been involved in the AAPI Heritage Month celebration in the past years, and also worked with our AAPI Thrive project. So I just want to point out that this is a long-term friend to our campus community. And also, I wanted to put the mission up here because when we were designing this project, it really was the perfect organization to partner with based on what we had in mind in terms of this research promoting radical hope. And we were really hoping to design workshops and assess the effectiveness of these workshops. And I'll talk a little bit more about why we're doing what we're doing, and also just kind of the theoretical work that's like the foundation for this work. So why focus on mental health programming for the AAPI communities and individuals? Just very briefly, I think, I'm really just scratching the surface here, but there's a lot of research now showing that kind of the prevalence of mental health challenges, which is also coupled with just low rates in general. Of course, different cultural and ethnic beliefs are also different, but just low rates of help seeking in general, which sort of exacerbates this challenge for our community. But I also want to point out that because of some of the unique characteristics and history of this community, that there are some unique challenges that could exacerbate mental health problems, but also in terms of health seeking, such as acculturative stress in immigrant communities. So the unique stressors that are created for immigrants and their families. Intergenerational conflict is something that emerges a lot for Asian American Pacific Islander communities. Of course, also present in other communities, but particularly salient in our communities, perpetuation of the model minority myth, cultural values and stigma around mental health, and also mental health help seeking. I know on our campus, the AAPI project is also doing a lot of events and programming to really target some of these challenges as well. So overall, there really is an urgent need for culturally sensitive and competent mental health services and programming for this particular community. And also just locally speaking, we see the need in Washington and also Tacoma as well. So that's a big motivator for this work. I want to talk about the construct of radical, or the topic of radical hope a little bit. We all know that hope is great. Hope is something good to have hope. And there's actually research on hope. I think Jonah might even be a more of an expert in this area of counseling psychology. But hope in general, as we traditionally defined and understood, has been shown to be really crucial for both BIPOC and other marginalized communities in terms of kind of beneficial mental health outcomes. But we are here focusing on specifically the construct of radical hope, which is a little bit different. It's theorized to be a distinct construct in that it's defined sort of as this collective as well as it considers the collective as well as the individual, examines social structure. So this is sort of the distinctive party. Radical hope envisions possibilities and highlights, in this case, BIPOC communities' capacities to work towards change. So the way I kind of see it is that it's more action-oriented, it's more collective agency, more focused on collective agency compared to individual agency, whereas the traditional definition of hope is more focused on, and I think some of psychotherapy might also be more focused on individual agency, individual future. So we have more of a focus on the collective.
Can I add one point?
Yeah, of course.
About the radical hope framework. So as the research depicts here, so radical hope can consist of multiple components. So the two main components will be faith and agency, and collective orientation. So these two will be the core components of radical hope. And the pathways to radical hope would be five, like the white areas right here. And that's why we designed 5 workshops in total to help our AAPI youth to cultivate their radical hope.
So sorry, I forgot that aspect. Each workshop aligned with one of the theorized pathways to achieving radical hope. All right, so some nice pictures to look at. So we did 3. We met on 3 Saturdays, 2 of which were here on campus at UW Tacoma. You were at one of them. And one of them we actually decided to host at APCC. This is their temporary location. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful space. And you have a new building to be completed. Do you know when?
August.
Yes. So they have a new space, which is pretty exciting. But this is their temporary space. We really made this intentional decision so that we can really foster, there's some students in our workshop that are UWT students. We wanted them to be able to see the physical space of APCC. So that was a conscious decision we made. These are some of our participants at 2 of the workshops. Were you in one of the photos? No. Because we had APCC staff members to support the workshop, but it's a different set of staff members at each workshop, if that makes sense. Yeah. With the support from the Office of Community Partnership, we were really able to host the workshops across the 3 Saturdays. These are pretty, we met for 3-4 hours on Saturday, including lunch. We were able to provide participants with a stipend for attending the workshop, which we'll also talk about later. In terms of challenges in recruitment, still, even with providing the stipend, we were able to provide APCC staff members for support with the support of the office. And then we were able to provide lunch at our workshops, which I think is really critical. And also support local AAPI-owned small businesses. Just a shout out to Jay Parker, who's one of our food carriers. Order from her if you're catering a campus event. The food was amazing. It's really the best food I've eaten. And she's a small business owner, and she was saying to me that it's been a little slow, so I really wanted to promote her business. And also supporting up to student as a research assistant, but also later after our student Donalyn graduated, she then became our program coordinator for the duration of the workshops.
Can I add something?
Yeah,
I think she mentioned about how we were intentional about choosing coming here to UW Tacoma campus and also our center. It was also intentional because we were able to bring in our youth, some of them may not have entertained, going to college or university, to be at a university campus. So that was part of the intention as well.
I remember you mentioning that, and I really appreciated that thought because, yes, so for them to even, be on a college campus for it to feel really real and notice that I belong here, and I think that's really significant. And then for our students to see the community as space. Yeah. Thank you for adding that. So just quickly timeline before I turn to Jonah for some of the outcomes. So just timeline, we used the first half of last year for planning, just communication, doing research on radical hope. That's where our student also helped us with a lot of the research, designing the workshops. And then during the summer, it was I don't think IRB was on there, but we also did the IRB application and all that. But summer was more specifically, I think, us communicating about schedule space, the order lunch and all that, identifying staff support, recruiting participants. That was actually a lot of the work that APCC really took on and helped us recruit participants. September through November was when we hosted the workshops. It was a total of 5 workshops across 3 Saturdays. And then collecting the data and feedback that we would need for our research. And then December and even now working on data, analyzing the data, writing up some of our research. So, Jonah, do you want to talk about the...
Thanks, Jamie. Yeah. So what happened after all the workshops? So we collected data quantitatively and qualitatively. Here we have several subscales that measure radical hope, as you can see on the left-hand column. And just want to make a note that we are so motivated by this OCP-funded project that we independently, additionally developed a scale development project funded by the APA, the American Psychological Association. So that's a separate project. But actually, we are so, motivated by OCP that we want to, have a really rigorous psychological assessment to assess radical hope. That paper has a complete data analysis, and the findings are very promising, showing that the scale has strong psychometric properties and can be suitable to measure radical hope among BIPOC populations, including AAPI population. If you're interested, feel free to let me know if you want to look at the scale. But based on our scale scores, we analyze the scores before the workshop and immediately after the workshop. We ran statistical tests like the t-test to compare the 2 time point of the scores. Here, in short, we found significant increases in score of faith, collective memory, and community giving. So faith means that, no matter what happened in the society, as a BIPOC individual, I'm hopeful that, the society would progress, would be a better place for us. Agency means that collectively, BIPOC community can make changes to promote a better world. So agency would be like, we can do that collectively. Collective memory means that, participants would have a strong sense of, the past socialization of their racial identity, not just individual memory, but collectively. Like, I remember the BIPOC strengths and achievement in the US. Whereas community giving means that BIPOC individuals would be motivated to give back to their BIPOC communities. So again, these are the components of radical hope. So we see significant changes in 3 components of radical hope, like faith, collective memory, and community giving. We do not find significant differences in scores of agency before and after the workshop. So for those significant increases, we attribute the change to our workshop, to our intervention, right? It's helpful. That's great. For agency, we want to say that we speculate several reasons for no change. One possible reason is that it was very close to the time of presidential election, and I can sense, a sense of like helpless, doubt among different communities. So maybe feeling a little bit helpless to make changes, right? So that might be one reason, or it's very close to the end of the quarter. Students were busy. I can make changes on my academic standings, not so much about the societal level as a BIPOC individual. Some other notes about how we analyze the data. Qualitatively, we collect data from participants. We, in total, received 10, and they point out very helpful aspects of the workshop series, like really having a space to connect with each other, reflecting ourselves deeply, having a safe space to talk about our journey as a BIPOC individual is very helpful, because not every space is a safe space. We talk about our ideal selves, which was resonated by participants. We also talk about the ideal society as well, how our society can look like without racism. So really encouraging feedback, and I can see that cognitively, emotionally, sometimes behaviorally, participants report benefits to them. We have further items to assess their, their satisfaction with the workshop. We see that on a scale between 1 to 7, we have a very high score. So this is well received. So that's a very they find it a valuable learning experience, a good community building opportunity for them, really engage, worth the time. It's extra time, right? Outside their personal life, right? They can just chill and relax on a Saturday, afternoon and morning, but instead they come and build community. And we have some feedback from staff as well. I can highlight some, and also one Glenn to share. So a really encouraging quantitative score we see, right, on a 4-point scale. And staff have mentioned, the collaboration, the activities have been very helpful. Really growing participants and staff cultural identity and resilience. And, very helpful to have participants and staff to practice some collective care, not just self-care, but collective care, to practice care together as a group. Glenda, do you have anything you want to share to chime?
It was neat to collaborate. I think it would be nice, I think, if it was ongoing, so that you can see the long-term project, because working at nonprofit, or especially the other staff that supported, they're with the youths every day, right? So it's nice to see from the bigger perspective of how you guys are looking at it. But I think for these guys, it'd be nice to see like more prolonged kind of study.
That's a very good point. And maybe I can talk about lessons learned, next steps as well. Definitely, we see a great desire to have more workshops. So we would love to seek more grants and future incentives, because it's a great need in the society, in our communities.
Yes. Can I just add one thing to that? So I think, APCC has a mental health program that has their programming. So I think it would be really nice to have foster this collaboration, so that we can even complement each other's programming, both for UWT community, and then some of our faculty and experts can provide programming for your youth group. So I think this sort of mutually beneficial relationship would really, and once we have these designed, I think it is easier to provide ongoing programming because I think the initial work was the hardest work to kick off. Yeah.
Some other challenges would be retaining participants. We really want to keep them, but that's the big challenge for our project. Like we recruited 20, big thanks to APCC support. But it's really difficult to retain every single one of them with time goes by and they have a busy schedule. And so small samples might affect how we analyze the data. Logistically speaking, we have some challenges like the commute, parking, and food. So we try different ways to address that, like providing supplement, like a small amount of, money to supply the parking. But there's one time around the APCC area, there's some school sport event going on, and the parking spot was so difficult. So that's out of expectation. It's good to have plan B. Both teacher and facilitators. Feeding participants will be great. Who would hate free food, right? And it's a great incentive.
And even the lunch hour was like the best community building time. I mean, it was sort of a break for an hour, but then we were all connecting and chatting and to do that.
So some accomplishments to highlight. I like how we end on a high note. So in terms of psychological science, like I said, we are motivated to develop a assessment to measure radical hope. So that is great. And we can also practically implement this intervention to promote hope. Right now, the literature does not have any implementation research going on. It's a relatively recent concept, and there's no empirical measurement as well. So definitely making a contribution to the literature. And we have some initial evidence to make tangible changes. At the community level, promote radical hope among AAPI youth in the Tacoma areas, really support and practice collective care with APCC staff and participants, having a welcoming and mutually supportive space, and strengthening our continued collaborative partnership with APCC and UWT, and really complement APCC's program's mission and goal to promote mental health. Anything else you want to add?
I think we'll go to our speaker. I think that's it.
Huge thank you to
all the staff members. Not all of them are here, but Glenda's here.
We have legislative day tomorrow. Making 24 people living at the
Yeah, so we had a number of APCC staff members support, and then our student who recently started a full-time job, so she couldn't make it today, but it's good. It's great for her. So thank you all so much.